It is the constant production of food and fiber on the nation's land and waters. And research brings up information that as we speak, over 70% of Nigerians participate in one form of food production or the other, whether they are big-time farmers or small-scale farmers or just families who plant in their backyard or in their side yard. They are contributing immensely to feeding a nation, Africa's largest nation, over 200 million strong, with food. Research also shows that sometimes, due to no fault of theirs, some amount of food is wasted. And as you stay with us on the program today, you will come to realize that it's quite a humongous amount of food that is lost. My name is Thelma Obaza. Patience is also here. How do you do, girl?
Good morning, Thelma. You look amazing. By the way, yes, I'm excited to be here. It is Weekendeal, your favorite weekend show. Today, our focus is on food preservation for the future. Given the very interesting times that we are in, it is important that we are able to preserve food, to put food on the table. But how do we stop wastage? What are the different methods of food preservation? These are some of the flash points of our conversation this morning. And of course, we'll not be doing it alone. We'll have some guests weigh in to make our conversation more interesting, educative, and robust. And you would also love to hear from you. Let's hear your comments, your contributions, and your thoughts as our phone lines open. Weekendeal! Weekendeal!
Francis is tackling Simon, and Simon is telling us about Nigeria being the largest producer of food on the continent. But there's more, and Francis tackles it, and that's how we get to learn more.
Food preservation or agricultural produce preservation, because they mean the same thing, is one of the biggest challenges facing Nigerian agriculture. Nigeria is the largest agricultural producer in Africa. Nigeria produces 40 trillion naira worth of food every year. According to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, Nigeria loses 60% of the crops, fruits, and vegetables we produce in this year to post-harvest losses because of lack of preservation. The value of the food we waste, that goes to waste, that become rotten before they get to the market, according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, is $9 billion US. The value in Naira is 7,650 billion Naira. That is the amount of food, the value of food in a country where you have 65 million people very poor.
How much we fish?
The first challenge is lack of storage, and then transport system is inefficient. A lot of breakage happen. Even if when there is no breakage, the cost of fuel is so high that getting transport to move the fresh produce, the fresh tomato, from the farm to the market, a lot of time is lost. And then, unfortunately, handling. They use raffian basket. This raffian basket is not designed for the handling and transportation of fresh produce. They put basket upon basket, and this thing, the weight they exert on the product make the product to become squashed, unsuitable, unfit for market by the time they even get to the market. Just that handling alone has destroyed almost 20-30% of the product. Every country who is serious in tomato production and marketing has transited to crates, plastic crates. See, these are the crates used for handling, packaging, and transporting fruit and vegetables from the farm to the market. And how much is this crate? This crate is just 5,000 naira. Each of these crates can carry 30 kg of tomato. And this crate is being manufactured in Nigeria. Nigeria needs 60 million crates like this for us to be able to put an end to these heavy losses of tomato and pepper. But only 300,000 of these crates are in supply in the market. Solution number 2 is that in all the bulk markets where vegetables and fruits are sold in Nigeria, we ought to have a cold storage system. The amount of cold storage available is too small. Drying is the most practical way of preserving fruits, vegetables, and crops. And in drying, you need to ensure that you dry in such a way that it's hygienic. When you dry in the sun, in the open sun, birds, insects, all come to perch. They drop their feces, and it renders the product microbially contaminated. How do we solve this drying problem? This is called solar bubble dryer, like a plastic bag that you can open. You load the fresh tomato, 1 ton. You move it from farm to farm because it's easy to move it. It's just a bag. And then you connect it to the solar dryer. That when you load the product, you zip the bag. And as you zip the bag, you've shut out all external contamination. And the moment you dry crops, vegetables, and fruits, you've added value to them. You've created a new commodity, an exportable commodity. Apart from the drying, using sun drying, you can also have dehydrators, food-grade dehydrators. They do the same thing, but they are more expensive.
Our focus on Weekendeal today will be on food preservation, preserving food for the future.
Oh, welcome back. Thank you very much, Francis. Food wastage would always break my heart. If you're just joining us, our focus is on food preservation. I told you from the beginning of the show that we are not having this conversation all by ourselves. We'll have experts weigh in order to make our conversation more robust. And we have our first guest in the house. Please join me in welcoming to the studio the president of Nigerian Young Farmers Network. He's indeed a very young man. I'm talking about Dr. Abubakar Batme Musa. Sir, you're welcome to the Weekendeal studios.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, we just watched that together. Yeah. And like I said, it breaks my heart every time when we have to waste food. What is the challenge when it comes to food preservation in Nigeria?
Okay, if you look at almost 70 to 80% producers of food in Nigeria are smallholder farmers from the local area with the local content. Meanwhile, we have to look at these people, appreciate what they are doing, come down to their level to explain what these people were doing and to show them the innovation part of it. Let's say, for example, I coming from Yobe, someone from Katsina. Katsina is one of the states produce a lot of tomatoes and gombe. These people are not even aware of the new innovation and modern techniques to take care of their products. It's something that we have to come down to them, have a mini processing plants in their locality where we can offtake this thing directly from them and process it. We can even export it directly from there, rather than someone from Katsina transporting his goods all the way to Lagos, Ibadan, or Port Harcourt or Calabar to offtake. So you have to sit down with them, speak their language for them, interact with them, hear their problems, and find a solution to their problems.
Patience, I hear Nigeria is the second largest producer grower of onions on the African continent after Egypt.
Yes.
And when we go there now, we'll learn how is it with them,
yeah.
onions and garlic. Where are we with it? Sokoto, you will share with us here.
Garlic and onions are produced in large quantity in Sokoto State. Yet producers do not get deserved rewards for their hard labor.
Nigeria is producing 2 million metric tons of onion, and we are the second largest producing country in Africa after Egypt. There is a research that has been conducted that about 50% of our produce after harvest, we lost it to post-harvest losses.
Most merchants preserve and store onions using traditional silos called rumbu.
So if you look at the construction method, it lacks adequate air circulation within the onion that is within the storage structure, and that will cause rapid spoilage of the onion due to some disease organisms, chiefly fungal organisms that will get there and infect the onion that is in store, and sometimes there is tendency of farmers losing some part of the onion that is stored.
But garlic can be spent 2 years without spoiling. The water content in onion is more than in the garlic. That's why you have to store this thing in a good place so to ensure that it didn't rot. Because if it's rotted, the minerals are going to spoil inside and the vitamin inside.
People have always been faced with the rise and fall of prices of vegetables like garlic and onion.
This onion in around April, May is being sold for 13,000 naira. But now as I'm speaking to you, in Sokoto where it is being produced, it is 40,000 naira. And in Lagos, it is 55,000 naira. In the south, around Eleme, Port Harcourt, and Enugu and the rest, it is around 60,000 naira. So you can see the inflation is really not encouraging.
This explains why families like Jummai Husseini's preserve onions against future uncertainties.
So we decide to be processing the onion by drying it to make it flex. Peel the onion. After peeling it, in the water, you have to put a little bit of salt. When you put the salt, then you put all the onions inside and wash it. After washing it, then you now slice it. After slicing it, your machine is ready. Then you start putting it into the machine. You put it in the machine and you give it some time to dry. The moment it's drying, you are putting another one. The moment that one is drying, you are putting another one.
Jummai now thinks more of commercial purpose than for family consumption.
If I can say, we can produce a lot of powder. Liver brothers will not be going to India to buy dried powdered onions to Nigeria. If we have the machineries in Nigerians now, and a lot of women are employed to produce this powdered onion, I don't think some Nigerians will go to India to buy powdered onion.
Unlike now, people hardly know that you can crush some of these agricultural commodities and then make paste out of it, like the tomato paste you see in the market. So also you can do that to our garlic and onion. You can do the paste, can it, and then you are increasing the shelf life of that commodity.
Just the problem is just preservation and storage equipment. Once we can put that in place, reduce our post-harvest losses, we can have enough to feed the country and to also export so that we can increase our foreign reserve.
In view of such market's potential, Sokoto State government recently commissioned the first onion and garlic processing plant in Nigeria. When the project takes effect, post-harvest losses of these perishable vegetables are expected to be minimized.
Thank you so much, NTA Sokoto. Again, preservation is the bane. Our guest is still in the house. Before we even talk about this, Dr. Musa, Thelma made a startling revelation just now. She said that to preserve tomatoes, we need about 60 million crates. But what we have right now is just 300. Just 300,000.
Yes.
I mean, why the gap? And how do we begin, in God's name, to close this huge gap?
Okay, that's the reason we always advocate that government should remove its hand on agriculture. We need the private sector to drive agriculture. If you look all over the world, that's where private investors can come in. They are the only one to match the gap of it. Why did I say so? If you look at a lot of money were budgeted on agriculture, but most of this money were misappropriated rather than taking it actually to do what is meant for it. So, but if a private sector come in and invest this money, he has to make sure he get out his money out of that investment. Exactly. So this is why we have to take preservation and food security very serious in this country.
But what is stopping the private sector? It's an open market. Why are the private sector players not keying into these gaps that we're seeing? What's stopping them?
Because there is a lot of frustration when it comes to policy making.
Oh, okay.
You know, the government have to create an enabling environment to them. They have to invite them and even showcase what we have at ground. You'll be realizing that a lot of people are not even aware of these agricultural stuffs and the value chain itself. So you have to showcase and show him why he should come and invest in his money.
Okay, that's interesting to know. I know that you, as the president of the Young Farmers, must be talking to your members. We just heard now from that feature that people travel abroad to buy powdered onions, powdered garlic, when we can make it here, and we need more machineries to do so. What they lack is machineries, but it seems they also lack the knowledge of the amount of Nigerians who need what they have to offer. You, in your own position, how are you spearheading change and development amongst young farmers who have energy and vibrance?
Okay, we keep on telling this. The only way to reduce unemployment in this country is through agriculture value chain. Yeah. Looking at the production, the processing, the marketing, and the export part of it. And we have more than 70% of our youths were there. Very energetic youths, very innovative youths. In the universities, college of education, some are not even in schools, but they're trying very well, sitting there idle. And we have more than 80 million hectares where it's still virgin, not yet cultivated in the country.
Not yet cultivated.
It's still there in this country. Where we can engage these youths and show them how to produce and how to process. But we are just there left behind, not even bringing in to show us what we can do and even give us a platform to showcase what we have and the talent we have towards that. We have identified some 30 youths in our locality. If we can see, we have someone from Sokoto that fabricated a solar pumping machine. That's what they have been using for their onions farming in Sokoto right now, as I'm telling you.
But we know the government has come on board.
So what we are looking at, we still have some people that are fabricating local preservation solar dryers for their people in the locality, for tomatoes and other stuffs and everything. We are not calling government. What we are telling the government, we are just telling them what to do. They can do beyond that.
Okay.
Let's say, for example, food security is what Mr. President have declared emergency on food security for over 3 weeks now, getting to a month. Why? Because it's a national interest.
Yes, good.
Definitely.
Hold that thought. We're coming back to you. But for now, we'll be going to Mina. You know yams, I'm sure. Patience, you maybe like pounded yam.
I'm a lover of yam. I believe. I believe.
We speak yam, but I like it fried.
Yam
with egg sauce.
Yeah,
okay, great. We go to Mina now in Niger State. That is a staple food. And there are many farmers who provide or who grow yams. How far they go with the production after harvesting is what we're going to find out. The way they store it and the way they preserve it. Mina will share with us now.
Niger State is one of the states that produces yams among other staple food in the country. Yams are mostly topical species. That is why they grow abundantly in Niger State. A big-looking roads with rough and wrinkled, dark, sometimes hairy skins with starchy flesh.
Niger State, as a federating unit in Nigeria, is blessed with vast agricultural land and its been under cultivation almost across the state. So we have root crops, we have grains, we have cash crops, and many others.
Malam Abubakar, a farmer from Kwalkwata village in Niger State, narrates the predominant method of preservation of yam for a very long period.
We usually keep our yams here, both big and seeds. Sometimes when you have a time, you can roof it like a house so that the rain cannot fall to touch the yam. Anytime when you bring your yam, you will see like you harvest it now. Very clean, very neat. Nothing touch them. Your yam can reach about 6 months, even 1 year. Nothing touch them. You must get the medicine because of the rats and the other things. Because if the rat touch your yam, put mouth like this, it will start rotting from that place. Even a big one, you will start rotting. Gradually by gradually, it will rot all.
This method is the most suitable method of preservation of yams for farmers whose occupation is yam production.
Second method, if you want to leave it for a long time, say a period of 2 years or 3 years, then you slice the yam tuber, wash it, slice it, and then you change it to yam powder using the scientific method, not the sun-dry method. Because in the sun-dry method, some vital nutrients are lost and it will be affected by fungi. So we don't advise that we should go on the old system of drying it on the sun, but to use the scientific method. And for those of us that are preserving the yam for seed, that means the jam cells, we used to preserve it in the soil. We dig the soil. After we dig the soil, we bury them inside. They will be there for the period of 8 months without spoiling. But at the onset of the rainfall, the yam cell is turgid. It will absorb the water and it will be turgid. So after 8 months, you will now remove it and start consuming it. On that way, if you want to store it for the period of 1 month, 2 months, you can use a deep freezing method. And that other method is very, very expensive. Not all the farmers can afford it. And if you want to store it for 2 years, there's a problem of power supply.
Niger State yam farmers and families are so much comfortable with the preservation method of building airy barns, rooms, or clay rooms because it is the best method of preserving yams in large quantity. It is easy, affordable, and effective.
Thank you, Auntie Amina. I'm a believer. I love yam. I said it before. But our guest is still in the house, and Thelma asked him to hold his thought on something he was saying. So we're going to continue from there. You said that the president had there's an emergency on food security and all that, and you asked why. So I want you to continue from there.
Okay. As I'm saying, there is a declaration of food security, emergency on food security by the federal government. Why? It's because it's a national issue. That's the reason if you go to the hospital or like to eat before you take your medicine. So the reason is that Mr. President said they are cultivating 500,000 hectares. It's part of the mandate and as well security, farm security. They have to secure the farm and they have to secure the farmers. So the reason is achieving this kind of thing, you have to have a policy and mechanisms to disburse this kind of financing you wanted to do. You have to see, are we still dealing with the political farmers we have? Because if you look at the past administrations, they have injected more than $3 billion into agriculture from 2017 to date. What are your new policies to implement this kind of things? Secondly, who are the people telling you how to do this? That's the reason you have to bring the young people on board. And all these commodity associations, no matter how it is, you have to appreciate them. They have did a lot.
We do see that more young people are being given a face in this governance. But let's go to Kaduna now, patience.
Okay.
Talk about pickling method. Imagine somebody says you can preserve carrots for over 24 months.
But I keep saying that when you talk about preservation, you must have in mind the fact that the nutritional value of what you're preserving must be intact.
Yeah.
So
for as long as possible.
So let's watch and actually see. I don't know how that fits in the pickling method.
From Kaduna. Let's go there.
This is the popular Weekendeal market. where perishables consisting of mostly vegetables and fresh herbs and spices are traded on. Aside from the obvious buying and selling, the sight and smell of rotten vegetables stand out as the rainy season is at its peak, thereby making the shelf life of perishables shorter than usual. Vegetable traders can be seen trying to minimize their losses by cutting and sun-drying unsold vegetables, which will later be sold when they become out of season. Although other preservation techniques exist, little knowledge about them is readily available, so I sought to explore pickling as a preservation technique.
Pickling is a process of preservation or extending the shelf life of vegetables, usually immersed in an acid solution, basically vinegar.
Armed with the knowledge of what pickling is, I purchased a reasonable amount of carrots for a little under 200 naira and followed the instructions of our food preservation expert.
Example of a carrot pickling: you get your fresh carrots, you wash and rinse with salt with a good water. After rinsing in a good water, you peel the back. After peeling the back, you dice into your desired sizes, after which you gently arrange into a sterilized jar. Thereafter, you get a pot, 4 cups of water, 2 cups of white distilled vinegar, 2 tablespoons of salt, and 2 teaspoons of sugar. Then you boil for a while for them to be well dissolved, after which you pour gently into the glass jars containing your diced carrots and cap properly, after which you pasteurize. After pasteurization, you keep in a room temperature, which can last for 2 years when it is unopened and unrefrigerated. But once refrigerated, it has a shelf life of 3 months.
Pickling as a preservation technique has the following advantages.
It helps to preserve them when they're out of season, and we could easily access them when they're out of season, like giving them a longer shelf life and making them accessible.
The process does not come without its disadvantages.
Disadvantages of pickling vegetables is that vinegar can be quite expensive, and secondly, if the pasteurization process is not properly done, there could be growth of mold, and equally bad odor could result from that, leading to virtually loss of the pickled vegetables.
To make pickling worth your while, try infusing herbs and spices into the pickling process, as it will give your pickled vegetables a unique taste and increase its nutritional value.
Very interesting, but I still have issues with the nutritional value, whether it will be intact. So please, we are saying something about young people coming into agriculture to boost that industry. You are a young man. I told you when you came here. Let me even start with you. What attracted you to agriculture?
Honestly, as you said, I'm a young someone, and I believe I keep on reading a lot. I read a lot of books. Okay. So I have one of the quote from the African richest man, Aliko Dangote, was saying, if you wanted to make money, you have to look at technology and agriculture.
Oh, I like that.
So I wanted to make money. That's the reason I came into agriculture.
So you are doing modernized kind of agriculture?
Yes, of course.
You're exploiting that avenue?
Yeah, so and I specialize on cash crops, date plantation.
Oh. Interesting.
Yes.
You did say that you would like for government to involve young people, especially farmers, people that have knowledge, such as yourself, in the policies that would drive agriculture in Nigeria.
Yeah, of course.
How would that work?
Yeah, what we are looking at, if you look at the population of young people, after looking at the population of young people and you look at their innovative ideas, these are people you can put them in different places. And secondly, in agriculture, you don't have to be maybe an engineer. Everybody can key into agriculture, and everybody has something to showcase. If you look at the processing aspect of it, fabricating of the tillages, tractors, and other things, the technology part of it, bringing in nanotechnology for the preservation, the processing, the export, and everything. Yeah. So that's part of what we are looking at. So let's say, for example, having the young people around them, they are thinking that these young people have nothing to do rather than sit down, dancing on TikTok and everything. We have a lot of things to do. Let's say, for example, Mr. President can stood up and said, okay, a young guy should come and be appointed as a SA on agriculture, needs to be attached to this ministry, work on the policies, one on agriculture, climate change and everything. We have a lot of
They'll be able to drive that to benefit Nigeria.
Yes.
But before we wrap up, our time is almost up. We've talked behind the scenes about loans, immense amounts, humongous in fact, billions have been disbursed to agriculture in Nigeria, especially in the last administration. They are uncountable, anchor borrowers and the rest down the line. What happened to all those monies?
If you look, as I'm telling you, if you look at the foreign reserve for importation, and you look at what government had spent from 2017 up to date on agriculture, it's almost $3 billion. If you look at the capital expenditure of Brazil, of what they are spending on the agriculture, is quite wide. Nigeria is not up to 10% of it. Let's say, for example, so if you look at it, what the government was aiming at that time is to see how they can divert the attention of people into agriculture. People are more solely dependent on importation. So we have, that's the reason of the past administration declare produce what we eat and we eat what we produce.
Wow.
No matter how it is before, you can travel and see a lot of, now you can see a lot of processing plant of rice mills, feeds and everything. People are now looking at agriculture as a lucrative business that people are coming to invest more money.
More money on it.
So even without government, this is showing you that they have created an agricultural economy. With these, people can key in, the private sector have to invest more on production. Even without government, they can look for mechanisms to see how they can have a microfinance institution for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Agricultural economy, the way to go. Dr. Musa, thank you so much. We can stay with you all through, but our time is up, sadly. We'll go on the break. When we come back, Weekendeal. We'll continue. Don't go away.
We're talking about food preservation and preserving food for the future. Take a look at this table. Just glance at this table. You'll be glad you did. Let's welcome our guest, Alhaji Sani Garba, Executive Chairman, Business Visa and Training Limited. So it's great to have you on Weekendeal.
Thank you very much.
You've come loaded. But before we get to the meaty matter of words here, we see things like olive oil, patience palm kernel oil.
I can't.
There's different types of gari.
This table is looking all yummy, and because I said I'm a believer, some people think I'm a foodie now. I'm just excited. I'm not, but I'm excited. This table is exciting.
The interesting dimensions that packaging is taking is what we call innovative packaging. Because of the excitement and enthusiasm that this can bring up, Susan was relentless in the past week, and she delved into corners to explore how aware are Nigerians about innovative packaging. Susan, take it from here.
In the dynamics of marketing, the packaging of a product stands out. It is not just an outer shell. It is the first impression, the unspoken promise that connects with consumers worldwide. Demand for food is surging as the world population grows and amidst environmental concerns. Innovative packaging techniques have emerged, bringing optimism and fresh ideas. Food preservation is not new. Smoking, drying, and salting techniques began with our ancestors. Other methods of refrigeration, bottling, canning, and freezing have settled in as well over time. Still, some modern techniques have limitation in sustainability and shelf life extension.
Preservative is good, but do not elongate. Let it just be that you're preserving and you're consuming immediately. please do not allow it to elongate to the extent that you're eating poison. You never can tell when you're eating poison, and you think you've preserved this very well. Some might even, by the time you open it, it has spoiled, and your money gone, and the aim gone. So I believe preservative is good, fine, but if you can still make do with what the amount of food, vegetable, seafood, things that you know you can preserve. If you can get the amount you can consume, consume, move on.
In a situation where I don't have lights, because I'll usually buy them in bulk, cook and put it in the refrigerator. But if I don't have lights, after cooking it, I'll make sure that the water dries up completely, and then I add a little of granite oil. It's something that I've seen my mom done, like when I was growing up, and it works. It doesn't stay for a long time. But maybe in a case where you use it, okay, you buy it this weekend, you intend to use it the next weekend, you can do it that way, or the week after, it works that way too.
Innovative packaging is driven by advanced technologies and maintains a symbiotic bond with the product they shield, preserving the essence of the content within. As packaging evolves to preserve freshness, consumers gain the upper hand. The convergence of advanced packaging techniques and waste reduction strategies reshape the landscape of consumption.
Using chemicals to preserve food is not so good for our health. Even on those chemicals, some of them you see that they write that it is not harmless, and they will say that it is safe for you to use. But if we are being honest to ourselves, it's not completely safe.
If you can get your fresh food straight from farm, straight from the sea, especially seafood, especially vegetables, farm products, the quantity you need, cook them immediately, eat them. That way, it's very nutritious.
Research shows that many of these innovative materials are derived from non-renewable resources. Balancing effective preservation with sustainable packaging becomes a pivotal point in the journey ahead.
It's not all vegetables that you can dry. So aside from drying the ones that I can dry to reuse later, I've not had to dry anyone recently.
Preservative foods are not really 100% healthy.
Every time you stand before a store shelf, the potential to make a difference is in your hands. Your choice can lead to a future where our food remains fresher, longer, while bringing us many steps forward to a clearer and more healthy environment.
Thank you so much, Susan. Innovative packaging, a great addition to the agricultural food chain, I must say. Like we showed you earlier, our table is looking a whole lot yummy, and our guest in the house, Alhaji Sani Garba, is responsible for this yummy table. So I'm going to ask you, sir, how did you get here? How did the journey get you to this point of this innovative packaging?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Actually, it started when so much young people keep coming to ask for assistance, need a job, and seeing all this, say, look, you have all this, but it's still difficult. You push one step and they bring you back again. So I discussed with the immediate passed away OPEC Secretary General, Dr. Barkindo. And he said he's looking for how to pay back home. And he said, look, go ahead, whatever you need from me, I'm going to do it. In fact, the office we're occupying, it is his office. He gave it to us to do that. And I now started collecting all these things. Literally, it's not a hidden thing when you get a group of young people. Ask them what they know about their immediate local government, that they can make money from it. They will never, you'll be disappointed. But ask them about foreign players, foreign clubs, even how much they earn. They will tell you without thinking.
They know everything.
So, and who controls the prices in those localities? Those people you think they are stupid, maybe they just come for settlement, they just stay pass by. You come to your own locality and then buy something today, maybe later in the day come back, they will add off another money on it. Buy it or leave it. You can't take him to police station. Nobody is responsible.
Indeed.
So with that, we now start aggregating this. I tell you now, we have more than 30,000. And still counting. Women mostly.
Okay, workers.
Yeah,
workers in your company.
Product. What we do? Yeah,
like
we have
package.
No, men, like men and women members on our platform. What we do, we allow you to bring whatever you have, and we now, with our partnership with the authorities, which we know we have about the guidance on what you need. The NAFDAC registration, standardization, packaging, processing, all those things.
So you now guide them.
Exactly. And once we get to certain level, some they are using their hands to squeeze out oil or this. But I communicated with him. We buy machines. He donates to them. And that's why it's sustainable. And from there they upscale. Instead of using hand, they will use the machine to extract. One thing we are making mistake of this. We have the best of everything in our country and in different varieties that the world doesn't even know. So we are the ones to set up that standard. But using equipment, we shouldn't use our own fabricated machines, which they can be they can get roasted, or you can look at the local
product.
The local grinding machine in the villages or even in the cities. What happened to them? You know those blades. After some time they worn out. When they worn out, where did they go? Inside the food.
Okay,
so
but hold your
preferably,
thoughts. Messages are coming in. People are excited about what they see, and they are like, okay, this is Mike from Port Harcourt. It says, are you telling me, say presenters, good morning to our guests. Are you telling me that all those things on the table are made and packaged in Nigeria? That's Mike from Port Harcourt. So we also get a message from Benjamin from Kaduna. He says, good morning, Thelma and Patience and our guest. He says, indeed, this is revealing and insightful. Are these made in Nigeria?
Yeah, whole lot. Everything you see here is sourced and produced here in Nigeria. And one thing you guys are making mistake. Anywhere you see foreign product, coming from those distances must have a preservative. And those preservatives must be harmful. And knowing fully that it's coming to Africa, what is coming to Africa is ridiculous. So if you consume those things, you are bound to get sick. And if you got sick, we cannot reverse the sickness here. But if you consume what we are producing here, you might probably know the person behind production distance. And one thing is this, we should be very careful. Nigerians, we don't need packaging. We don't need packages. Just carry your money, package all those things. Every Nigerian knows the season of everything. He can get it as fresh as anything. The thing is collaboration and knowing information as well. If you know who sells this, you can tell them. We do this during occasions, but like Alaji, when you are having a wedding.
Alaji,
yes, come.
I'm shocked. Like I'm sure our viewers are shocked that all these are Nigerian made. Is there enough awareness? Is there enough visibility on this? Because I see some of these things on the shelf, and a lot of people say, there's a joke that we have Gary here, but it's packaged from China. I'm shocked to hear that.
These things are made here.
In Nigeria. The
awareness is awareness.
If you want to see the women behind all this, we could rally more than 10. We have a huge parking space in the National Assembly. Ask us to come and present all these things. The challenge is no longer packaging or not even what you have in Nigeria. The challenge is patronage. You see how much this administration have sunk on the in the cost of helping the SMEs. Does it work? Certainly no. They should be the ones talking, not someone on an agency talking on their behalf. Give Nigerian any standard. They will give you that standard with a plus. But who is going to take it off? If we will channel our own public money, make it mandatory to must buy Nigerian-made products from recognized outlets like ours, and then if there is none, then we should now buy from outside.
But let me ask you this, Alaji. You know what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about pickling and even canning and even flash freezing, fermentation and the likes. What people are worried about, or what they are interested in knowing now, like us and our viewers now, is how much of the nutrients are conserved at the end of the day. Like, do you put is there an expiry date? where are they?
Shelf life.
Yeah, the shelf life. Where can we even find them to purchase? And we have a guest now again from Benin, Ladi, asking, do you train people? I'm interested in learning.
Absolutely, by our name of company, Business Visa and Training Company. You see, preservatives is not for Nigerians. We are privileged to have everything as fresh. We know the season for everything. So come on, when you are packaging, don't allow those people to dictate to you what they specifically don't have an idea about it. When you now go and borrow preservative methods, when you now, when you are in privileged environment to have everything fresh, growing up in my home back then, we don't buy anything soup or meat. We grow them in our backyards, and anybody can do that. You know, you just eat something and throw it, it now becomes.
But tell us about this one now.
The preservative, no preservatives.
Panel, like, what is the shelf life?
You see, thank God you bring this palm kernel. When we are growing up, those villages that do not have hospitals, they use this. If they are confused, somebody is convulsing, he's sick, they give him this and he heals. So what happened now? Do we think we're advanced? We throw it away? We want to see labeling palm kernel from China or Germany? Then we now trust to take it? Look at, these things are not hidden. We use them, and that is why you and I are like looking like this. Nobody will look at Nigerians and tell you that you're a hungry person, or you are looking unhealthy. It's what we consume that reflects. If only we know, we start buying this, using this, I tell you, crime will reduce, because most of them you charge them to upgrade up to this level. Just this bottle now.
See, this is agbalumo.
Yes.
Agbalumo jam. And that's cherry.
Absolutely. And this is a dry one from it.
I can't believe this.
So this is like a snack.
Yes, all she's asking is patronage.
We can eat this and be delighted.
Absolutely
That's
right.
jam for your bread.
Yes.
Agbalumo jam for your bread.
Agbalumo is a bit sour. It slaps you. Hope this won't slap me.
But the women are addicted to it. Once they start chewing this, if I open it here, we might not finish up this.
Can we test? I don't mind.
You'll be distracted. so you can have it.
Some of them.
You told us something about mixed granules and cashew nuts. That all we just need for women.
Absolutely, look at it.
Eat less. And we just add water to it, and it's a complete meal. Tell us about that.
You see, it's a combination of dates. I don't think most people know we have some of the best dates on earth.
Wow.
Even the Middle
Nigeria.
East, in Nigeria, in Jigawa State and Sokoto. And this dates come from it. You see the mix of cashew, groundnuts, and also in there. And once you take this, you just look for water.
Come on, let's taste it. Let's taste that one. I want to taste it.
We might be distracted.
You are a foodie.
You are a fruity.
So Patience the foodie. Please open and food up.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting comments here. Somebody says, like I have ukazi leaf that I plan to kazi leaf in my backyard, and I would like to know how to package it and promote it for sale. Shegun Aino, Jesus from Ogun State, he says, he said he would like to know more about what you have on your table. I love what Alhaji Garba is saying. He said, I'm into agricultural processing in Ado Odoota in Ogun State. He said, in fact, foreign networks have come to run a documentary in my farm. But you need the help now of Nigeria, and good one. Okay. Rogers Ogun from Port Harcourt says, he said, those products, they look nice, but I'm sure they're expensive. He said they even look more expensive than exported products. He said, but I'm very proud that Nigeria is making products such as this. I have no doubt they are of very high standard. Rogers Ogun from Port Harcourt.
Yeah, fine. If I can take him on that, good things doesn't come cheap. And when you allow foreign goods to
how does that taste?
To come into your own country and compete with you.
Hold on. Food patience.
You see?
Don't come me first.
So basically what I'm saying is this. You should appreciate the originality of what we have. This is pure organic. Most of these things like this one, we don't have farms for this. They grow in their natural habitat environment, which makes them very originally organic.
We're enjoying the meal.
Yes, you can enjoy that.
Nice.
And beside that, You see, this ones now, they are different type of organic. Not that organic they are claiming, which they fabricated under a greenhouse roofing. It's man-made, but there's no interference.
Natural.
And this is what you get, yes, natural. And some of them we don't even farm there. Look at the shea butter, that is another pride of Nigerian products. Coming from Niger, the ones and the deep nuts, which we have the yellow type and also the white type. Very sensitive. But then what do we do with them? Nobody has the farm. They go there and pick it during the season and package it. That's to tell you how natural they are. But then we are ignorant of what we even have. Okay. We are carried away with this packaging thing. Packaging, literally from the name, packaging, is to deceive someone and then lure him into going into the content. But we are privileged to know the content. Oh. If maybe, for instance, you're having a wedding and you come from Ijebu town, you will ask the mama, you know her, when you're growing up, ask her, Mama, I want my visitors to go back with this gari. That time you will not be thinking of packaging. You will not be thinking of NAFDAC because you know the sources. Yes. So we should not be bringing things that might not work in our environment.
Alaji, let's see. Do I see olive oil there?
This is sesame oil.
Sesame oil.
Yes. Sesame oil in Nigeria, we're the only countries that have not just, like I've said, everything God gave us, He gave us the best and gave us in different varieties. This sesame, this is the one, the white sesame that the world knew about it. We have the brown one as well, and we have the black one. And guess what? Most of the demands come from foreign people and some who are enlightened or royalties. It has a very strong anti-aging element.
Indeed.
Wow.
If you only know, you will not be going and buying that controller oil that you don't even know the source where it comes from.
Yes, you don't even cooking?
Of course, yes. You can eat it, you can apply it, and you'll be healthy.
You can just take a spoon, even.
Just find out.
Your tea.
You don't go take things cheap. That word cheap.
Dangerous. It can be dangerous,
that's
right?
That's it. We should be asking for premium of our own products. If any product is coming in here, you should know that you are not the chosen one. From anywhere, they will not bring the best of their production into Africa, not even Nigeria. And it comes with elements of harmfulness, preservatives. So we should consume our own products, and we'll be glad we did.
If you do that, packaged by us.
Exactly. If you do that, you're improving our own economy, you're creating a job, creation, and also giving relevance to those people who are doing
and also staying healthy.
Absolutely
also,
right.
Which is very important. Also staying healthy. Well, hold your thought. This is all very novel, very interesting, very positively impactful, and many messages are coming in. Someone is reaching us from Adetona from Ibadan. He says, what an interesting package. He said, hello to everyone in the house, especially Alhaji Gaba. He said, I'm proud of you, sir. He said, I know the economy management group is listening to this. He said, the challenge is we need orientation and a change of mindset. Mindset from believing that only imported goods are best for us. Also, there should be utmost support from government at all levels for indigenous manufacturers. Please, for the training. How do I get to know more? I'm very interested.
Can I take him on that?
From Ibadan.
Okay, you see packaging. You shouldn't be deceived. Get any American product, if that's the best you're thinking of. You'll see that the processing is done in Asia, but it's still claimed American product. So if you borrowed a package or a bottle sourced from other place, you now put in your product, it doesn't stop it from being a Nigerian product. They should not be just pushing us packaging we want to just copy. You should get information before you do it, and most especially when you're done with this expensive packaging. If you don't have an off-taker, whom are you going to impress? Right. Are you going to decorate your home with it? So that's why we said the policy makers here in Nigeria, when you ask us to do something, you tax us. Getting CLC, getting NAFDAC, SON is not free. But when we now put on those standards and you allow foreign goods to come into our own territory to compete with us, and their own policy is different from ours, you will be now left with battling in your own environment that you are now being paying, you're paying tax.
All right, they are talking about the environment. You know, the world is looking at whatever we do, whatever activity the man is doing, we must consider how good or friendly it is for the environment. Are these processes
environmental friendly?
You see, polyethylene, now we have a recycling process on ground. Where some countries, when they are exporting, they tell you they don't want anything in polyethylene. You have to use paper or jute bag, and we all have them here in this country. So most of this packaging, they made use of what is available on ground. And beside that, bearing in mind, seeing that, okay, I need to spend this on the packaging. Where is the market? You go to our own supermarket for them to take the stance. There is a whole long story. They will tell you they have already bring in certain things. That is why we are taxing the government. That is why we are taxing the government, that especially this new government that is coming in, looking at what has been spent so far and no positive result. The people are still complaining. Some even that they benefited, they just collected and disposed of it and said, I don't care. But listen to them. Like we, the private partners, that's what is missing. If you engage a private partner, you give him responsibility to deliver, and he will meet up. And your own part should also be the first off-taker.
Also meet up too.
We show you the nitty-gritty where you will see results.
Okay, one more message and then we need to wrap up our conversation. Mohammed Dewo is asking, do you have a training branch in Lagos? I would love to be a part of the training experience with your company.
In terms of training, you group yourself. Like recently, like Dinajatu Mohammed in Kano, she grouped some people and then identify what are you training them for. We also liaise with the government there that if we will train these people, make sure what they are coming out with is good enough for you to be the first off-taker.
And they must support them.
Like I've said, Nigerians can meet up any standard you want. But once they deliver, buy it up from them as well. Don't use the same money, go and buy the same product outside there. Yes.
We need to wrap up our conversation now. It's been quite engaging and feeling and enlightening and detailed. And no doubt Nigerians are very interested from all what we are getting. Our messages here, they are still coming. They'll be asking us a lot about you and how they can come for training and also where to purchase this. We thank you, Alhaji Sani Garba, Executive Chairman, Business Visa and Training Limited.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure these things are in many shops in Nigeria.
No, we don't want them to go to those shops. We want to have an exclusive made in Nigerian shops so that the government can give you any discount or tax-free or any incentive they have intention of. All the things we are saying, like I've said, we are now being boxed in our own country, competing with foreign goods. If you have a friend now, you said, okay, he said he wants to take things back home from Nigeria to indicate he comes from Nigeria. Where will you go? If you dress like this, their price will be different. They're angry with you, with the system. So, and no consideration. Where will they sell their product? By the roadside? If they go there, there's another government agency waiting for them to catch them. If they catch them, they don't even wait to hear. They are not even after the goods. They want their freedom back. So there are a whole lot of information you need to do before you come up with a solution. We are living in a great country and great people. Everybody knows around the world. They don't joke with us. So why can't we now harness what we have based on the information we have to make things greater, so that others will copy.
You have spoken well. We thank you for being a part of Weekendeal. Greater things are ahead, more internal participation in all the exceptional things you're doing. A big beckons on Weekendeal. Don't go away. You know, we women, we know what it takes to go to the market, spend money, bring the food home, and within seconds or hours, it's all gone. But I want to remind us that it's that indomitable spirit that embodies every Nigerian that we call on at this time. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Like us definitely do. God bless Nigeria.